Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Rachel and I'm sharing what my family had for dinner this week. We are starting off with a really simple dinner of chili dogs. We just heated up our hot dogs in a skillet and we are having that topped with just some Hormel chili without beans and some tater tots that were thrown into the toaster oven or air fryer. Sorry, my husband picked up some of this salsa chili queso stuff for his, and we chopped up some onions, and that was it for a really quick weeknight dinner. And it doesn't get any easier than fried eggs. And so on this night we were really crunched for time, and so we just heated up a can of corned beef hash and some of these frozen sausage patties right in the same pan, and then in another pan we just cooked up some eggs over easy and had some toast on the side and called it a really quick and simple breakfast for dinner. This was just one of those weeks where we needed to keep it as simple as possible. We had just finished a big holiday full of food and cooking and cleanup and with work and kids and all that fun stuff. It just had to be food in the tummy, not interesting and exciting meals, if you know what I mean. The next dinner that I made was cheesy beef enchiladas. These were really super simple. I just started off by browning up some ground beef in a pan, and then I added some garlic powder and some cumin. I just sprinkled in a lot of the seasonings that I had on hand. I did have some taco seasoning. I could have used that, but decided to do it this way. Next, I am adding in some chili powder. And then after the chili powder, I am going to add in some onion powder. Then some dried cilantro. I was just kind of grabbing everything I had on the spice cabinet that sounded good. A little oregano, just a tiny bit of this. And some cayenne, of course, because we like a little bit of heat. And I think, looking back, I would have maybe added a little bit of tomato paste to this also. I put in some salt and then just gave that all a stir until it was cooked through and all of that meat was brown and no pink was showing. So in a saucepan, I'm just adding a can of the Rico's nacho cheese sauce. And then I'm adding a can of cream of celery soup. And I just mix those together until they are nice and smooth to make a little cheese sauce to go on top of my enchiladas. I also add in about 1/3 of a jar of medium salsa. And then I just stir that all together until it's nice and smooth and has a little bit of a runnier consistency. And so next I'm going to start assembling these enchiladas, and I'm keeping it very, very simple. All I'm going to do is meat and onions on the inside, and in my baking dish I just put some of that salsa in the bottom so that I would have another layer of flavor down in there and give the enchiladas something to soak up. So I'm just adding those onions, and I'm going to start rolling these enchiladas and placing them in the dish. One thing to consider when you're making enchiladas or burritos or anything with tortillas is to warm up your tortilla however you want to do it, whether you do it in a skillet or over an open flame, like on your burner, or even just in the microwave. It will make them so much more pliable and easier to roll up, which I did not do, and I knew at the time that I should, and I'm just so hard-headed like that I just kept on going the way it was. I mean, it turned out okay and it was fine, but it would have made the job a little easier and more enjoyable if I had just heated them up. Now, once all of the enchiladas are rolled up, I just start pouring the cheese sauce on top of everything. There was a little bit of the ground beef left over in the pan, so I decided just to use that up and throw that right on top of everything. And since I only put onions in half of these enchiladas, I topped the half with onions on top, just to kind of mark them so we would know which have onions and which do not. While the enchiladas were in the oven warming through, I just made some refried beans that I added some butter to. These were the vegetarian refried beans, so I had to fatten them up a little bit. And I made some of this Goya rice on the side, and that was what we had for dinner that night. I am just making my plate. I'm getting one of those enchiladas out, and it was very cheesy and good. I really like the combination of the cheese sauce and the celery soup. It gave it a nice consistency and flavor, and the boys really liked it a lot too. By boys, I mean my husband and my sons. And so I'm having a little bit of rice with that and some beans, and I'm gonna have some of the spicy guacamole tortilla chips from Walmart. And I did actually end up using my rice and my beans as dip, and so I really like those chips. They're a nice change from just regular tortilla chips with that guacamole flavor, and then a little bit of salsa right in the middle for everything. This dinner came together pretty fast, and it was a very satisfying and easy weeknight what's for dinner. We ended up eating at home every day of the week and did not go out to eat one time or order in any food, and that was probably because we kept everything as simple as we possibly could this week. This next dinner was just basically me coming home from work around 8 o'clock and making myself something to eat. The guys had whatever for dinner that night. I believe some had pizza rolls and some had whatever. So it was kind of a fend for yourself kind of night. And so I am making myself a breakfast burrito. I am one of those people that could eat eggs every single day of my life. I love breakfast, although I do not ever always eat breakfast for breakfast. I am a kind of a cold sandwich kind of person for breakfast, and then eggs for dinner. I don't know. I'm a little mixed up, I guess. So I have my tortilla heated up with a little bit of cooking spray, and then I'm going to put a slice of cheese that I put in half on that. I have my ham that I warmed up in a skillet. Just going to throw that on top and get that cheese all nice and melty in between that warm tortilla and that hot ham that I just cooked. And then I'm going to get started scrambling up some eggs and call that a burrito. It was very satisfying to me. I had been at work all day and had been kind of eating snackies throughout the day, so I really wanted something a little more satisfying and hot, and also, would be getting ready for bed pretty soon, so this hit the spot without doing a big full-on meal right before going to bed. And I'm just making all of these elements up into the same skillet, and my baking spray or cooking spray, it got away from me a little bit. It's a little brown, but it's okay. It turned out all right. And I'm doing 3 eggs in this burrito because I was super hungry and wanted it to be a nice fat breakfast burrito. And what makes this super easy and just a one-pan meal is that I am just scrambling my eggs right in the pan. I'm not adding any milk. I know a lot of people add milk to their scrambled eggs, but I really enjoy the rich, full flavor of an egg just scrambled up on its own with a little bit of salt. So that is how I am making my scrambled eggs for my burrito. And I already have my cheese and my tortilla, so it's just waiting. And I did not have a bowl from making scrambled eggs in the bowl on the side and then adding it. And I like to have as little dishes as possible. So all I'm going to do here in the end is just add my eggs to that tortilla, and then I'm going to wrap it up. And I will eat this with just a little bit of hot sauce. Like I said, this was later in the day, so I didn't put a whole lot of hot sauce because, you don't want to wake up with heartburn or anything like that. Just cut my burrito in half, and then a little bit of the hot sauce on my plate to dip in, and it was good. That was my dinner that night. The following day was another day that I would not be getting out of work until 8 o'clock. So before I went to work that day, I put some potatoes into a crock pot, and I am just going to put this pork tenderloin in the crock pot with these potatoes with a little bit of water. My husband did the grocery shopping for the week, which was wonderful to me. I did not give him a list. I just told him to get what he thought sounded good. And so he picked up one of these seasoned pork loins that he said he's had before at work and that he liked it. So that was a little different for us. We don't usually like to eat too many pork products, just are not a big fan of it. But this turned out really good, and this was what my plate looked like when I got home that night. I had a hot dinner. He made some corn to go along with it, and those potatoes were nice and juicy, and that pork was nice and tender. We are obsessed with these flatbreads from Aldi's and have been making pizza at home at least once a week or once every other week. We had really given up on pizza and had just settled on thinking that we did not like pizza anymore, but now that we have found this method of making pizza, we have been having it quite often again, so it's nice to have pizza back in our life. This pizza just has some ground beef, some pepperoni, and some bacon on it, along with some sauce and some cheese. It was just delicious. Cameron ended up taking it to school with him for lunch, and I had some of the leftovers the next day. It just always turns out perfectly, and we have a newfound love for pizza, and it comes together so quickly. So there's nothing special to see here. We're just having soup and sandwiches, except there really is something special about it, isn't there? I mean, some of my fondest memories from childhood are grilled cheese sandwiches and either chicken noodle soup or tomato soup. So on this night, it just felt like a soup and sandwich night. And I was also pretty tired and didn't really want to stand in the kitchen and cook a lot. So I just whipped up a griddle full of ham and cheese or grilled cheese sandwiches, and then I just made a variety of canned soup, the Campbell's kind, I guess is what it is. I wanted tomato soup, which is really odd because I don't really care much for tomato soup, but every now and then you just want a grilled cheese and some tomato soup. And the boys wanted chicken noodle, of course, and then Bill wanted his bean with bacon. So I had 3 different pots going on the stove, which was really no big deal. I mean, it's canned soup. It's not like I was making it from scratch or anything, but it was very comforting, and I also made some brownies to go along with this afterwards. So it was just a soup and sandwich night. And so that was the last of our super simple dinners this week. We did end up eating at home every day. We did not eat out one time this week. It was unintentional, but I think that because we kept everything so easy and so simple that it was just a no-brainer. There was no pressure on us about what was for dinner or living up to our whatever expectations of what dinner should be, and it saved us money in the end. Thank you so much for watching my video and supporting my channel. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button so that you can see more of my future videos. Bye for now.